this beautiful recipe of rice kheer, which is a dessert made from rice. We also call it as firni in India. We're going to need about, depending on the quantity of people who are going to eat this firni, you could actually use that much amount of milk and the necessary ingredients. Now, I have used about 1 liter of whole milk because we're just going to be the three of us who are going to eat this firni. But accordingly, you could multiply the proportion of milk. So, 1 liter of milk, I have kept it to boil, and I am going to let this come to a slight boil. Remember, you don't have to boil it completely, just let it come to a slight boil. Now, while this is coming to a slight boil, what I have done is I had soaked some basmati rice for about 20 minutes in cold water. And after about 20 minutes, I have put them into my mixer, and I have created a nice coarse paste. So if you see, I had my rice which was soaked, and I have put it in the mixer. So it's a nice coarse paste. Now the reason I have made a coarse paste and not a fine one is because you need to have a little coarse paste, because otherwise it's just gonna be a very soggy dish, and it has to be nice and wholesome. So you see, the rice granules are still nice and coarse. So ensure you don't make it extremely fine. It's not gonna taste very well. They have to be slightly coarse. And I'm just gonna keep this ready as my second ingredient. You're also going to need about 100 grams of granulated sugar. Now that is something that's an option. If you want, you can use normal sugar as well, but granulated sugar tastes the best with this. And parallelly, what I have done is I have soaked some raisins and some almonds in some water, and until the milk is boiling, these will become nice and soft. Now the reason I'm doing this is the raisins will nice and plump up, so that you don't kind of feel the raw taste when you're eating the kheer. And the almonds will also become nice and soft, so they don't taste raw. Now you could also add other dry fruits. You could add pistachios, you could add cashews. But remember, when you're making this rice kheer, it has to be just right, because the amount of starch that you're adding in the kheer is also to be noted. You can't add a lot of dry fruits, because otherwise it's just going to keep coming in your mouth and it's not going to create a nice taste. It just has to be subtly there, right? So I have used about 6 of my almonds, and 6 to 7 of almonds, and just about a half a handful of raisins, and I'm just going to soak this in water and keep this ready. Other than this, you're going to need some green cardamom powder for this recipe. I have here about 10 to 12 green cardamoms, and I'm going to remove the shell and add it to the milk while it is boiling. And the inside part is what I'm going to crush and grind, so that it comes up to be a nice coarse paste. If you see, the green cardamom, I've kind of coarsely ground this, and to this I'm going to add a little of my milk, so that it continues to remain soaked, and it will be nice and soft by the time the milk is ready. And the cover of the green cardamoms, like you see, I've added to my milk because they have a lot of flavor, and they can really help enhance the fragrance. One thing that you need to remember is, if you're adding green cardamom, stick to one flavor. Do not add saffron as well, otherwise it kind of doesn't taste good, because then you've added a lot of fragrance, and then it's just like a complete mess. You can't really figure out what the kheer contains and what's the richness like. It doesn't taste all that well. So I'd suggest you either add green cardamom or add saffron. Now I have added green cardamom because that's more rich, and the aroma remains into the kheer for a longer period of time. I'm gonna wait until the milk comes to a slight boil. Remember to get this to a boil on low flame. You do not have to get it to a high flame, because otherwise the milk will get burnt, and it's gonna give that burnt fragrance. Now you see, my milk has slightly come to a boil after about 20 minutes of keeping it on low flame. I'm now going to add about 100 grams of sugar to this particular mixture, and let the sugar nicely come to a boil. Give this a nice mix. Now remember, whenever you add sugar, until the sugar dissolves, it does make your milk a little more watery. So always add the sugar in the beginning before adding the rice. Let the sugar cook, kind of boil for about 5 to 7 minutes until it melts completely and dissolves into the milk. Keep stirring. In this entire recipe, you must remember that the important thing is to keep stirring. Nothing should get burnt, otherwise, the flavor is going to get really spoiled. So, kind of when you're moving your spoon, you will realize that the sugar has melted and there are no more particles. So, at this stage, I'm going to add my crushed coarse rice mixture. Now, I have kept a little of the rice starch with while creating the mixture. That's the way you need to keep it so that it kind of adds to the flavor. Add this to your milk. Now remember, you got to add it along with water so that it doesn't create any lumps. As you keep adding, just keep stirring so that nothing sticks at the bottom. Keep mixing this so that your coarse rice will keep cooking along with the milk and nothing sticks at the bottom as well. Hence, it is important to take a nice heavy bottom open dish so that it's kind of easier and you're not struggling to stir. This also helps ensure nothing sticks to the bottom. Now this is a dish which you have to find time and make this. It's going to take a lot of time, but really the end result is lovely. Now for our viewers, this dish is a request coming from one of our gentlemen who is in Saudi Arabia. It's nice and filling. And once in a while, it's a beautiful sweet dish, that you could make in your household and try it on. It's lovely. So I'm just going to keep stirring this until I come to a stage where I see that the coarse rice has also cooked and it's nice and eatable. Currently it is actually raw. I can see that. So I'll keep stirring it until this cooks on low flame, most importantly, and nothing sticks to the bottom. Now generally when you make this dish, you'll realize that the milk will come to half its quantity. That's alright because you're actually thickening the sweet dish. Now some people also add condensed milk, but I'm just going to show you the way we make it in the restaurants, and we do not add condensed milk for the simple reason that it tastes a little artificial then, and it kind of doesn't retain the flavor when you add condensed milk is what we've seen. So which is why we take the extra effort and make it exactly like this. And importantly, this is the way our grandmothers used to make this. So, and it really is a very different recipe. Once you add condensed milk, things just change. So it's a matter of choice, but if you have condensed milk and you want to add it, then you could add 1 cup of condensed milk, about 100 ml, for every liter of milk that you add. So that could be a good judgment for you. So after about 20 minutes of cooking this on low flame, your coarse rice has got nicely boiled. The consistency is also just right according to the quantity. So you see, when you do it the right way and you do it slowly, everything is going to be right. And this is a kheer that you just have to cook on low flame to really get this consistency. My cardamom that I had crushed and I had soaked it into some milk, I'm going to add this to my mixture. Give this a nice mix. Now my raisins were soaked in water and they've become nice and soft. I am just going to add this to my kheer. Now your almonds that were soaked in water, just kind of peel off the outer coating, if it's easy. Now the one way of doing it is you could peel that off and then you could just kind of chop it into nice long pieces. Other way of doing it is really just chopping it included with the skin. Really doesn't make a lot of difference though, but the ones which are peeled off, they just kind of give a good appearance and they're just easy to chew. So I'm just going to peel it off lightly so that I can then just chop it into nice long pieces. Okay. To this I'm going to add my almonds. Now I have peeled the almonds, removed the skin, and I've just cut them into nice long pieces. Just gonna toss them into my heat. Mix this good. And now you could take a nice, beautiful serving bowl and serve it to your guests and enjoy this beautiful, healthy kheer. Okay, and the way to store this is in case some remains, let it cool down and then store it in the refrigerator. And some people like this nice and warm. You could, reheat it in the microwave. Some people like it cold, so let this cool down and then you could, just add it to your fridge and then eat it after a while. So here it